Diddy just made his most desperate move yet, and it blew up in his face. In a bold and petty attempt to shut down the man exposing his darkest secrets, Diddy has officially filed a lawsuit against his own ex-bodyguard, Gene Deal. Why? Because Gene talked. Gene revealed the truth about what happened at the FreakOFF parties. And now Diddy is terrified the rest of the world might finally listen. But here's what Diddy didn't expect. The lawsuit made everything worse. Gene Deal didn't back down. He went louder. He went public. And what he shared has ripped a hole in Diddy's carefully crafted image. From secret parties with minors in costumes, to spiked drinks and women being passed around like property, the truth is coming out fast. And there's no NDA strong enough to stop it now. Inside the courtroom, everything is falling apart. Witnesses are disappearing. Jurors are quitting. Even the judge had to delay the trial because it's become too dangerous, too unstable, too chaotic to proceed as planned. Prosecutors say one of their key witnesses, victim number 3, is just gone. She vanished before she could testify. Cassie, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, is now reportedly under federal protection. And jurors are begging to be removed from the case, saying they're scared. And all of it points back to one man, Sean Diddy Combs. Call logs from prison show Diddy called victims, family members, and associates hundreds of times. One victim said she was contacted 58 times. Another, over 200. He tried using other inmates' accounts. He had family members three-way victims into calls so the prison system wouldn't track it. That's not rumor. That's fact, pulled straight from federal documents. And it paints a picture of a man who will do anything to avoid the truth coming out. And still, Diddy wants us to believe he's the victim? In a stunning legal twist, his lawyers now claim that Cassie was the aggressor in their relationship. They're actually arguing that the beatings, the abuse, the control, it was mutual, that both sides were violent. But we've all seen the video. We know who hit who. We know who had the power. And here's the thing. Even Diddy's legal team knows this case is falling apart. That's why one of his top lawyers just quit. After over 20 years working with Diddy, attorney Anthony Rico filed to withdraw from the case. His reason? He can no longer serve Diddy under any circumstances. He said it was impossible to continue defending him. And just like that, Diddy lost the one thing he couldn't afford to lose, his legal firepower. Even his longtime law firm, the powerhouse Grubman, Shire, Mycelis, and Sachs, dropped him as a client. These are the people who represent Madonna, The Weeknd, Bruce Springsteen, Usher. And now they want nothing to do with Diddy. Rumors say Lady Gaga threatened to leave the firm if they didn't cut him loose. That's how radioactive he's become. And if Diddy thought suing Gene Deal would help, he was wrong. Because Gene knows too much. He saw the drugs. He saw the manipulation. He saw what happened at those FreakOFF parties, and he saw Diddy laughing through it all. Gene even tried to stop it. He warned Diddy, told him people would die if they kept going. And he was right. 9 people are dead. Their lives wiped out by a system Diddy built, controlled, and protected. And now, that system is cracking. The lawsuit against Gene was supposed to be a silencer. Instead, it became a spotlight. It forced the media, the courts, and the public to finally ask, what is Diddy so afraid of? The courtroom is in total chaos. The judge has delayed the trial. Witnesses are missing. Jurors are terrified. The prosecution is trying to hold it together, but every day brings a new problem tied directly to Diddy. And still, Diddy's legal team insists this is all just coincidence. But facts don't lie. Let's talk about victim number 3. She was set to testify against Diddy. Her identity was going to be revealed the moment she stepped onto that stand. But that never happened. She disappeared, gone without a trace. Prosecutors say they haven't been able to contact her at all. And given Diddy's known history of tampering with witnesses, many believe this wasn't a voluntary disappearance. It was intimidation. This isn't just speculation. It's part of a pattern. Records from the Metropolitan Detention Center show that Diddy has been reaching out to witnesses from inside his jail cell. Not once, not twice, but over 200 times. In one case, he called a victim more than 50 times. In another, he used 3-way calls to disguise who he was talking to, bypassing jail phone monitoring systems. That's not panic. That's strategy. That's desperation, and it gets worse. Diddy has been accused of paying off a witness to post a statement on Instagram, praising him and attempting to influence public opinion ahead of the trial. Prosecutors exposed that too. They even found that Diddy was using the phone accounts of 8 other inmates. This is witness tampering, this is obstruction of justice, and it proves what many already suspect. Diddy is guilty, and he's trying everything to stop the system from holding him accountable. But the court isn't buying it. The judge denied Diddy's bail again. Why? Because there are no conditions that can guarantee he won't continue to interfere. He's too rich, too connected, and clearly, too willing to manipulate the process. The judge even said she couldn't think of any way to ensure Diddy would stop if released. And now, his ex-girlfriend Cassie is scheduled to testify, the woman who lived through the darkest parts of his empire. The woman seen on video being beaten by Diddy in a hotel hallway. She's pregnant now. And, according to sources close to the case, she's being placed under federal protection because the threats haven't stopped. Diddy's lawyers know how bad this looks. They're scrambling. They tried to argue the video of Diddy attacking Cassie was edited, that it didn't tell the full story, that maybe Cassie was violent too, but they're grasping at straws. The evidence is overwhelming, and no matter how they spin it, Diddy's empire is cracking at every seam. Even his celebrity friends are backing away. During jury selection, over 100 names were revealed as potentially relevant to the case. Michael B. Jordan, Kanye West, Mike Myers, Robert Downey Jr. These aren't random connections. These are people who have attended Diddy's parties, worked with him, or been linked to his circle. And while prosecutors say they aren't necessarily implicated, the public is watching closely. Every name dropped sends a ripple through the industry. The scariest part? This might just be the beginning. Diddy isn't the only one who should be worried. The tapes Gene Deal exposed, they don't just show Diddy, they show others, executives, celebrities, politicians. That's why Diddy is panicking. That's why he tried to silence Gene. Because if those names get out, careers will end, companies will collapse, reputations will burn, and Diddy knows it. Back in court, the prosecution is building a case that doesn't just focus on one moment. They're laying out a pattern of abuse, a pattern of trafficking, a pattern of cover-ups, NDAs, fake statements, and hush money. They've got financial records, they've got witness testimony, they've got video. And they've got a defendant who spent the last 2 decades acting like the rules never applied to him. But now they do. It's not just Diddy's reputation that's collapsing. It's his entire business empire. Let's start with his real estate. After the raids on his homes in Los Angeles and Miami, federal agents walked away with boxes of evidence. They seized electronics, hard drives, surveillance footage, private documents, anything that could link Diddy to trafficking and abuse. Sources close to the investigation say the feds found disturbing content stored across multiple devices. And now, Diddy's legal team is scrambling to suppress that evidence. They're arguing that the search warrants were too broad, that the raids violated his rights, that the government omitted facts and made Diddy look worse than he really is. But the courts aren't buying it. Prosecutors are already using that evidence to tie Diddy to victims, bank transfers, and even private jet logs connected to FreakOFF party locations. It's the final unraveling of the bad boy empire. For decades, Diddy used his fame, money, and connections to silence critics. But now, his former partners want nothing to do with him. Big-name brands that once stood beside him are erasing his image from their platforms. Fashion labels have pulled his endorsements. TV networks have distanced themselves. Even music distributors are quietly removing his work from playlists. People who were once proud to be seen with Diddy are deleting old photos. Executives are pretending they never worked with him. Former artists on his label are finally speaking up, offering support to the victims and distancing themselves from the man who made them stars. The fallout is massive. Diddy's attempt to sue Gene Deal triggered a chain reaction. Because once Gene spoke, others realized they weren't alone. Women who had signed NDAs started leaking stories anonymously. Men who worked on security teams, cleaning crews, or transportation for Diddy's events started sharing what they saw. And the stories matched. There were patterns, identical setups, identical victims, identical drugs. Even the language Diddy used was the same across years and years of abuse. Suddenly, prosecutors didn't just have isolated claims, they had a timeline, a blueprint, a paper trail that connected Diddy's entire lifestyle to trafficking and criminal abuse. And now, the courtroom is bracing for war. Cassie's testimony is expected to be the nail in the coffin. Not just because she was abused, but because she knew everything. She saw how Diddy operated. She traveled with him, lived with him. She was drugged, beaten, controlled. And now she's going to tell it all. On the record, under oath, in front of a federal jury. Diddy's defense team is falling apart. His top lawyers are abandoning him. His replacement attorneys look panicked and underprepared. And even they are being outmatched by the evidence piling up daily. The media can't look away. News outlets are covering every moment. Social media is exploding with updates, and every day, more celebrities are being dragged into the mess, either through name drops, associations, or old footage that's resurfacing at the worst possible time. Even artists like Kanye West, Michael B. Jordan, and Mike Myers were named in the jury screening process. Not because they did anything wrong yet, but because they were close enough to be considered relevant. And Diddy is watching it all fall apart from inside a prison cell. He's no longer the untouchable mogul. He's not even a celebrity anymore. He's an inmate, a defendant, a man whose lies have caught up with him. And the more he tries to fight back, the more desperate he looks. But we're still not done. Part 4 will bring the final blow. How Diddy's courtroom stunt backfired, why there's no way out now, and how his own actions sealed his fate. Ready for the final piece? Diddy thought suing his ex-bodyguard would fix everything. He thought it would shut Gene Deal up, scare the victims, remind everyone that he still had power. But instead, it backfired harder than anything in his career, because that lawsuit exposed everything. It confirmed that Diddy was scared, that he had something to hide, that he was willing to take down the people who once protected him, just to save himself. But it's too late. The court isn't playing games anymore. With every move Diddy makes, prosecutors are building their case stronger. They now have clear proof of a cover-up. The calls, the payoffs, the intimidation tactics, it's all out there. The court has recordings, witness affidavits, financial transactions, and even private text messages that point to a calculated effort to silence victims and erase the past. But you can't erase this much damage. The NDAS? Useless. The intimidation? Failed. The fame? Gone. Diddy has spent the last year burning every bridge around him. From high-level lawyers to business tycoons to the artists he once mentored, everyone is done with him. And now his enemies are watching closely. There are rumors that the feds gave Diddy a plea deal to snitch on others involved, and that might be why he's spiraling. If he talks, more powerful names will fall. If he stays silent, he goes down alone. It's a lose-lose situation. And the public? They're finally seeing Diddy for what he really is. A manipulator, a predator, a man who built his empire off silence and fear. Let's talk about the bigger picture. This isn't just about one man. It's about the system that let him thrive. For decades, Diddy was untouchable, protected by lawyers, labels, executives, and powerful friends who looked the other way. And now those same people are sweating, because when Diddy goes down, he might not go down alone. Cassie's testimony will be the turning point. According to court insiders, she's planning to name names, to talk about who helped, who knew, and who joined in. She's not just describing abuse, she's outlining a network. And that's what's keeping people up at night. That's why jurors are backing out. That's why one woman ran from the courthouse crying. That's why another wrote a personal email to the judge saying, "I don't feel safe," because they've realized what this trial really is. It's not a legal battle. It's a war on a decades-long culture of silence, and Diddy is just the first target. The pressure is mounting. And now, leaked reports suggest Diddy's legal team is considering an insanity plea. They're claiming that years of drug and alcohol abuse clouded his judgment, that he wasn't in control, that he didn't know what he was doing. But this isn't just pathetic, it's insulting. Because even under the influence, Diddy was strategic. He made calculated moves. He signed documents, filed lawsuits, paid hush money. This wasn't chaos, it was control. And the courts see right through it. Meanwhile, his remaining supporters are jumping ship. One of Diddy's most high-profile spiritual advisors, Bishop T.D. Jakes, just stepped down from leadership. The timing? Just days after Diddy was reportedly offered a plea deal to name names. Coincidence? Not likely. Even people in the church are distancing themselves. And then there's the mayor. Eric Adams, the sitting mayor of New York City and a known associate of Diddy, has now been indicted by a federal grand jury. We don't yet know what he's charged with, but the overlap is raising red flags everywhere. Diddy's circle is collapsing, fast, and this time, no amount of money can save him. The law firm that dropped him, Grubman, Shire, Mycelis, and Sachs, is a powerhouse in the entertainment industry. For them to walk away after 20 years, that means they saw something in the evidence they couldn't ignore. Or maybe they saw the end coming and decided to bail before the whole ship sank. Now let's talk about the most disturbing part, the FreakOFF tapes. Multiple sources say these tapes don't just show disturbing party footage, they show trafficking, they show children, they show celebrities who had no idea they were being filmed, and they show Diddy orchestrating the entire thing. That's why the lawsuit against Gene Deal failed, because once people found out what Gene saw, it was game over. And as this story spreads, people are finally understanding the scale of what Diddy was hiding. He didn't just host wild parties. He ran operations. He destroyed lives. He paid people to forget. And now, with cameras in the courtroom, victims on the record, and prosecutors refusing to cut deals, Diddy is out of moves. His bail? Denied. His team? Collapsing. His empire? Gone. And still, the worst may be yet to come, because the more Diddy fights, the more the truth comes out. And now, with Cassie about to take the stand, Gene Deal refusing to back down, and the entire music industry watching, there's nowhere left for him to hide. This isn't a scandal anymore. This is the end. Diddy built his name on power, fear, and fame. But now, he's just another criminal, caught, exposed, and completely alone.